Top 10 most powerful militaries in the world. 2020 might have you feeling totally negative about the future, but fact is, the world does seem to be slowly moving towards peace, and military conflicts are at an all-time low. However, there are still some incredibly powerful militaries across the world that have made a name for themselves internationally. In this video, we're giving you a roundup of the top 10 most powerful militaries in the world. Before we continue, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Let's begin. Number 10. Brazil. Coming in at number 10 on the Power Index, the Brazilian Armed Forces have more than 1 million people employed, with almost 51.6% of their population being male and 40.6% of their population fit for service. The Brazilian Armed Forces are further divided into 3 distinct categories, like most militaries in the world: the Brazilian Navy, Air Force, and Land Force. The Brazilian Air Force has 12 attack helicopters, 43 fighter jets, and 24 special mission aircrafts. On top of this, the Air Force also has 126 transport aircrafts in its fleet. The relative humble Navy fleet contains 6 submarines, 22 patrol ships, 2 corvettes, and 7 frigates. The Land Force, on the other hand, are impressive for a country the size of Brazil, with over 1,800 armored vehicles, 437 tanks, and 84 rocket projectors. Number 9. Egypt. Egypt only just made the top 10 military list in the world in 2020, with over 440,000 active personnel and 480,000 reserve personnel. On top of the impressive armed forces numbers, they also have 36 million men who are currently fit for service. Like Brazil, the Egyptian army also has 3 distinct factions. The Egyptian Air Force has an impressive fleet of over 1,054 aircrafts that include 215 fighter jets, 294 helicopters, and 11 special missions planes. Not just this, but Egypt acquired 2 Russian fighter jets in early August 2020, despite US warnings and possible sanctions. The Egyptian Naval Force fares a bit better than the Brazilian Navy, with 2 aircraft carriers, 8 submarines, 7 corvettes, and much more. The Egyptian Land Forces don't lag behind either. They own a total of 4,300 tanks, 11,700 armored vehicles, and 1,084 rocket projectors. Number 8. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom once had colonies all over the world. Makes sense that they'd have a powerful military. The UK is perhaps the pioneer of modern warfare, with some of the advanced warfare technologies and soldier training. The UK spends approximately $55 billion of its armed forces, that consists of 200,000 soldiers and approximately 23 million people who are fit for service. The UK Navy has 2 aircraft carriers, 10 submarines, and an overall fleet count of 88 ships. The UK Air Force has 133 fighter jets, 312 helicopters, 49 of which are attack helicopters, and 44 transport aircrafts. UK's infantry suffers a bit of a blowback with just over 227 tanks, 5,000 armored vehicles, and 35 rocket projectors. Number 7. France. France is more than just the love capital of the world. According to many estimates, France has a substantial military with over $41.5 billion in military spending, despite being in Europe, one of the world's most peaceful regions in the past few decades. The French military has over 185,000 reserve personnel and 268,000 active personnel, which brings the grand total to 450,000. The French Air Force has an impressive 269 fighter planes and 589 helicopters. France also has nuclear capabilities and ICBM submarines that carry the 300 nuclear warheads that the French military currently holds. The French Air Force has more than 200 fighter jets that include the Rafale and Mirage fighter jets. Number 6. South Korea. Unlike most European countries, South Korea actually has a use for its military, and that is to deter attacks by its notorious neighbor, North Korea. However, unlike its neighbor, South Korea does not feel the need to possess nuclear warheads, as it's under the USA's nuclear umbrella. The South Korean military is a tad bit more reactive than other militaries in the world, since it's always under threat. The ROK, Republic of Korea, have almost 600,000 active personnel, with over 414 fighter jets, 80 light bombers, and 200 transport aircrafts. What makes the ROK's Army genuinely unique, though, is its partnership with the US Army. Inter-military efforts and exercises play a vital role in improving the readiness and effectiveness of its armed forces. Number 5. Japan. Japan, the only country which has seen the devastating effects of nuclear warfare, has a strict no-nuclear missile policy, but like South Korea, is protected by America's nuclear umbrella program. The Japanese armed forces have state-of-the-art technologies and 259 cutting-edge fighter jets, with over 300,000 Army personnel. The Japanese Air Force also has 152 special missions aircrafts and 637 helicopters, 119 of which are attack helicopters. The Japanese military owns over 1,000 land tanks and 3,130 armored cars. The country spends around 1% of its annual GDP on its military, which translates to about $46.1 billion. Number 4. India. India, the biggest democracy in the world and an upcoming world superpower, are surrounded by enemies on all sides. Needless to say, it has an impressive military. India has the world's second largest military force and the largest volunteer army. The largest democracy in the world has the world's third largest defense budget, amounting to $61 billion, and an air force fleet of over 2,000 aircrafts, 538 of which are fighter jets and 722 helicopters. India also has an extensive coast, which it shares with its arch-enemy Pakistan. Because of this, it has an impressive naval fleet with 16 submarines, a single aircraft carrier, and 19 corvettes. The country also shares 13,888 kilometers of border with its neighbors, which warrant a strong land force with a number of tanks exceeding 4,000. Surrounded by China and Pakistan, both of which have atomic bombs, India also has a huge arsenal of nuclear bombs to fend itself from attacks. Number 3. China. China is the economic superpower of the 20th century. The power that China possesses has made it a lot of enemies. To defend itself against the threats, China has a strong military presence, with over 2,700,000 personnel, 510,000 of which are reserve. The economic superpower has over 1,300 fighter jets and 911 helicopters. The Chinese military does not joke around when it comes to its waters. The Chinese Navy has 2 aircraft carriers, 74 submarines, and 36 destroyers. Apart from its supreme Navy and Air Force, the socialist state also has 260 warheads and ICBM. Number 2. Russia. Second only to the US in the world, Russia is one of the biggest military powers in the world. While it's true that the Russian military is not as strong as it once was back when it was called the Soviet Union, apart from that, Russia has the distinct advantage of being able to manufacture its own military equipment, like submarines or fighter jets. Nonetheless, Russia's military prowess is coupled with its huge nuclear arsenal. That is in the thousands. Russia's nuclear warheads give it a distinct edge over other countries in Europe and across the globe. Number 1. America. Military and the US go hand in hand. The US spends more on its military than the next 26 nations on the list combined. The United States of America spends about $750 billion on its military. The US Navy has 20 aircraft carriers, 91 destroyers, and 66 submarines that guarantee that the United States rules its waters. The US Air Force is the world's most advanced air force, considering that most major fighter jet manufacturers are based in the US. The US Air Force has over 2,085 fighter jets and almost 6,000 helicopters. The United States also has military bases all across the globe to deter any escalation. To top it off, the United States has the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, with over 6,000 warheads, many of which are deployed in ICBMs. That's a wrap for top 10 most powerful militaries in the world. Which one of these do you think deserve the number 1 spot? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for similar content. See you in the next one.